Hey guys, James here. So 2018 has arrived. 2017's just a vision in the past. But you had movies that come out in 2017. No kidding, right? So I've seen a fair amount of movies, so I can make a decent list. It's not gonna be like a top 10 list. It's my favorite five plus a close but no cigar, the honorable mention as it were. So yeah, we're gonna get to those movies, but let's lay down some ground rules. Obviously, it had to be released either in the theaters or on Blu-ray or on digital in 2017. Like if I've seen a movie for the first time, it can't be eligible. But I could probably make a this. I discovered this movie list for 2017 down the line. Yeah, you're not going to agree to the list, so don't tell me I need to see this movie or that scene, because probably I haven't seen a movie, or I didn't think the movie was good enough for it. And yeah, it's pretty much mostly genre movies. Not I don't really go for the high end, the people that see filmmaking as an art. So yeah, it's going to be quote unquote the low brow movies, I guess you could call them, the genre ones. So let's get cracking and let's see what the Close But No Cigar movie was. One movie that just got out of the top five. The film that just missed out being in the top five is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, might argue favoritism or whatever. Like, why isn't this higher? Because you put Force Awakens as number 2 in 2015. I put Rogue One as number 1 last year because on the whole, the vast majority works. It pops. It's great. It's phenomenal. It's something you want to see again. It's things you've never seen in a Star Wars movie before. It's actually an original story, but it's that the Finn storyline that drives me nuts. So it's a storyline where basically it goes nowhere except to give you fan service, to have him face Captain Phasma at the end. It drove me nuts. It's too much social commentary, too much real world stuff. Like, I mean, I'm all for, say, animal rights, but this is Star Wars. I'm not going in to have a guilty conscience over like some horses being treated, or people, or the workers that are being downtrodden by it. Whatever. It's a Star Wars. It's a fairy tale. You don't go bringing this stuff in to like the world. I mean, you do it very subtle, so you don't even realize you're seeing it. But otherwise, it's phenomenal. The opening scene is amazing. It's breathtaking. It doesn't stop. It has the courage to take people out of their little boxes. Like, say they take Poe Dameron out of his starfighter box and put him into somebody who thinks he's making the right decisions and kind of realize maybe he's out of the loop. And if you've seen the video I posted about Luke Skywalker, I support the decision 100%. He's that cranky mentor from a kung fu movie. He's that Ronin samurai who was failed by a student. He's a man who lost his faith. He's a priest who lost his faith. He's a man who's done. He's finished with everything, and he just waiting to die or whatever. And sometimes it takes a little push to put you back in. I know people hate the fact that he's not the guy who's like, oh, I got a lightsaber, let's go fight. He even addresses it in a movie like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Take a laser sword and face the First Order? No, he's everything should expect out of a man who went into exile. It's not like he's looking for a reason to go back in. Rey is phenomenal as a obviously the main. I guess you could call her the main character who's trying to find her way, trying to figure out these mysteries that are just thrust upon her. And Ben Solo, I guess, Kylo Ren or whatever you call him, he's making his place in the universe. I liked him a lot in the first movie. I liked him even more in this one. He's just more. I wouldn't say he's more conflicted. Maybe he's conflicted, but towards everyone, I guess I would say, even the good, the bad, whatever. And he decided he's going to carve out his own niche in history, which I found to be pretty exciting. So, with all that, you can thank Poe for the Poe storyline with him and his buddy Rose for making this movie fall the top 5. Congratulations. So for my number 5 spot, I have the best DCEU movie since Man of Steel. We have Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot as a title character. It's, I wouldn't say, it's doesn't bring really anything new, but whatever it does phenomenally. It has fantastic moments in it, such as the effort to War Man's Land. Yeah, it definitely has its influences on its sleeve. Like it more or less follows the story structure for Superman the movie, but that's okay. And obviously the setting makes it more of a comparison to Captain America: The First Avenger, but that's fine too. What I like is primarily they make it a woman centric movie. Obviously, such as title character, but it doesn't rub it in your face doesn't rub the feminist agenda in your face. I mean, she's just somebody that's doing what she thinks is right, not like I'm woman, hear me roar, which I know that the alt-right was complaining about, but whatever, that's her business. I guess for like a point against, I'd say the climax was a bit much for me. I don't know why, because obviously Marvel has CGI, but maybe just knock it down a little bit. I don't know. Is the rest of the movie plays it? I wouldn't say plays it subtle, but it's definitely has a real feel to it. More involved in the world. Has has characters that interact with each other, not just people who are placeholders. You gotta get a feel for everyone involved in Diana's little world, from Themyscira to say the trenches in World War One, and obviously it's a good movie. It's not higher on my list, but that is what it is, right? So Wonder Woman is number 5 on the list. Number 4 on my list is the first entry for the Marvel universe, or the Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I was surprised by how personal this movie got. I know it's a space movie, it's a space opera, but just the characters and their behavior and their intentions and the effects and resolutions really got to me. I mean, obviously it's a story about fathers and sons. I know some people say there's no place for this kind of thing in the Marvel Universe, but this thing gets to me. It kind of pulled me in. With obviously, if you saw the first movie, it was a quick lead in, and oh well, who's his father? Well, he's a jerk. So, but you get to see how much of a jerk he is as he makes his appearance. As Kurt Russell does a great job as playing Ego the Living. Let's talk about Ego the Living Planet. Who would have thought ever in a Marvel movie, let alone a Marvel Studios movie, you would ever see Ego the Living Planet? He's as obscure as they come. I mean, he's pretty much that the background character in the space comic books. It just, you gotta give James Gunn so many props for saying, I want that guy to be the villain, or that planet to be the villain. But anyways, so obviously, Ego Living Planet is trying to get Star-Lord to see things his way, because he's obviously been alive millions of years, and he sees the universe in a different way as say Peter Quill does. But does that make it right? Nah. And obviously, as I said, there's a story about fathers and sons. So Michael Rooker's storyline. That brings me to Michael Rooker, obviously. His storyline is what I call an evolution. I mean, it actually adds more to the first movie, too, as you see the way he reacts towards what Quill does. Way it just makes that film, which I did make my number one film in 2014, even that much better. So it's probably higher on my list. But it just kind of when he has that realization about who he is to Quill, it's startling to me. It's emotional. It made me cry. It makes me cry when I see that scene. It's just wow. Who would have thunk that a blue skinned alien would actually have that effect on you, right? And I mean, granted, would you say the trailers are deceptive for this movie? I don't know. I mean, they do have baby Groot throughout the movie, so I know that the cute factor pulls you in, but this is more relationships. Baby Groot's also trying to find his way in the world too, but obviously, Gamora and Nebula, who's he was kind of have that realize it may have more in common than they think, even though they're on obviously one's trying to kill the other one. And Drax is forming a friendship with a new character called Mantis, and but Rocket Raccoon is also trying to realize that he doesn't have to be alone in the universe as he wants to be. He doesn't have to be this solitary character. There's only one. There ain't nothing like me in the universe, so you can go jump off a ledge or whatever. Maybe he can let people in, and accept himself for who he is. But but that being said, the action scenes are pretty crackerjack too, especially on the planet. On the planet itself, Ego itself, during the climax. For some reason, this movie reminded me of Empire Strikes Back when I saw it. Probably because you have the multiple characters here or there, and then just have this explosive climax, trying to get out and trying to live or whatever, trying to survive. But whatever, that's just me. That's the way I see it. So number 3 on my list is the movie Spider-Man Homecoming. The first Spider-Man apparent movie set in a Marvel universe, which is Marvel Studios universe, anyways. But wow, it's just this is another phenomenal movie. I know there's criticism for how grounded it is, but think about this. I mean, Sam Raimi's universe and the Mark Webb universe, basically Spider-Man's the only hero. So obviously his exploits have to be big, have to be the guy that saves the city or whatever. Spider-Man in this one, as Tony Stark says, he operates below the Avengers but above like the street level heroes. So it's like the middle gray ground. It's very small, but yeah, that's where Spider-Man's going to be. He's not the guy who's going to save the universe. He does have like the Avengers where you want to follow. He's basically the hero that could be you, as originally stated by Stan Lee all those years ago. So he's not going to say being that guy who's going to stop Thanos barehanded. He's going to need help to do that. But anyways, this is a centered, grounded story that it takes place a couple of places in DC, but it's it's not like nothing's going to rock the universe if he doesn't save the day. Just Michael Keaton is a Vulture who's phenomenal. He's probably one of the best Marvel villains in this whole universe. They're just going to get some more weapons and make some money. So what? And he's going to outfit some robbers. That's about it. But this is also a teen comedy. It's firmly in the John Hughes filmmaking way. If he was still alive, I guarantee you he would have been the guy they would have asked to either write it or direct it, or at least write the Peter Parker stuff that when he's not Spider-Man, because there's a lot of it. I mean, I'm at the point where I want more stuff for the alter ego besides the hero. So I want to connect with say Peter Parker a lot more than I do Spider-Man nowadays. I get Spider-Man. I get he can do the web. That's fine. He can climb buildings. Okay, I want to know Peter Parker at the core. And this one I wouldn't say it gives me more, but it's up there with Spider-Man 2 with the conflicts with Peter Parker. But this is still a phenomenal one. Every movie that I'm putting on the top 5 is phenomenal. Let's just say that before I get it out there, because I'm just going to use that word. All right. Let's yeah, I'm looking for with the cliffhanger. I'm looking forward to see either what happens in Infinity War or the second Spider-Man movie come out. But I will say this before I go. There's a scene late in the movie that actually this has a bunch of scenes that work. Like there's an homage to Spider-Man 133. You figure out how Spider-Man. You have scenes where Spider-Man has to negotiate a land without things to swing on, and you actually see the moment where they say, "Okay, how's he swinging around the city if buildings aren't high enough?" And basically, Stanley once said, "Well, there's a helicopter he's swinging onto," so you actually get to see him use a helicopter to swing on. But the scene that gets me the most is the scene late in the movie where Michael Keaton and Peter Parker are in a car. And as you can see, Michael Keaton just pulling off the layers and figuring out what's going on, who Peter Parker really is, and what he's done. Peter Parker already knows who he is, obviously, but when just watching Michael Keaton act and just figure out what's going on, just phenomenal acting. So I'm putting Baby Driver as number 2. The Edgar Wright crime heist, the crime drama thriller, whatever you want to call it. Well, I know there's a couple of you that might disagree with, but if you've seen my review, then obviously you might understand why I did it. I think this is where Edgar Wright is trying to reach out, distance himself from like the stylized movies, like say Scott Pilgrim versus the World and the Cornetto trilogy. Maybe just try to reach out and see what he can actually do without relying on without being hip or trying to be stylized. Obviously, I'm not saying there isn't style. Obviously, you have that early on in the movie with the kid who's the baby or pretty much driving to the music as he walks down the street to the music. That's all well and good, and that's fine. But the stories like this kind of pull me in. I like when people have, and in this kind of story, they have one side to them, then they have the other side to them, because eventually they have to collide, and occasionally they'll explode. Well, basically the rule for cinema says they will explode, but they find an interesting way to. They actually don't make them explode. They do find a way to actually, get them. It's like two ships that realize they're going too close and just go far away. As late in the movie, you have the diner scene. But before that, let's talk about the movie. It's this kid named Baby who's a getaway driver for Kevin Spacey's character, who sets up like specific team to do certain jobs because based on area of expertise. So one day, one goes south because Baby does have a heart, and tries to warn somebody not to go in or whatever, and like security guards get wind of it or whatever. So anyway, this leads up to the diner scene where this girl that he likes or he's dating works there. He goes there because the other three people that are in the car with him, Jamie Foxx is a crazy criminal. John Hamm is a cold-hearted killer criminal, and you're just waiting for the the cliche to happen where he's gonna be like, "Don't shoot her, she's my girlfriend." But yet somehow they surprisingly find a way to not make that happen, to keep his world separate, because they already had one part of his. They already got one part as his deaf friend gets caught up in it, but surprisingly, they don't involve her until late in the movie, where he's trying to say, I'm done with this life. I've got to get out of here. I got to get out of this life. And surprisingly, Kevin Spacey is a boss. You would think that he'd be more of a villain, but in the end, he's not. He's more like, okay, I know you have a skill. I'm going to use it. And if I can't use it anymore, well, get out of here, kid. I'll do what I can. That's kind of refreshing, instead of him trying to take the kid down with him. So yeah, I find this more. It's focused more on the story, like say your World's End is focused on the story. I would say, like to, as opposed to just being all the style. And I found that completely refreshing from an Edgar Wright movie. So for my favorite movie of 2017, I'm going to go with a movie I saw very early in 2017. It just affected me so much, obviously. So yeah, my favorite movie was Logan. Why would you say that? Well, it doesn't really, pick up any loose ends or try to fix them. It's more telling the last ride of a man who knows his time's going down. Is the last job for a soldier who's going on a last journey or whatever. And this is more like every single Eastwood movie you've seen from the 70s to the 80s, pretty much. like there's so many aspects of, say, Dirty Harry, even Ray Shockley, and you can even say there's a little bit of Kowalski in it, and Sam Mooney from Unforgiven. But it's basically a man who, like, say, Luke Skywalker from Last Jedi, just realizes his time has come, and he's just trying to stay out of history's way. He's trying to just, have, his death be on his own terms. At the same time, he's taking care of a very invalid, very sick Professor X, who's amazing, portrayed by Patrick Stewart, who doesn't realize what's going on half the time, obviously, because he has a degenerative brain disease, which is kind of traumatic if you're the most powerful telepath or mutant on the world. So what can I say that hasn't been said? I like how the fact is it's a very mature comic book movie. It doesn't follow the path at all. It's it's definitely a Western. It's almost a Mad Max movie, per se. It follows those tropes, and so you're not looking for the big comic book scenes in it. You're looking at a man who's worn out, who's dead on the inside, and he's just trying to just live day to day until whatever happens. And what happens is a little girl comes into his life who's his clone, who's cloned from his DNA, and his last journey, more or less, is to make sure she gets to a certain coordinate, even if he doesn't think it's going to amount to anything. He thinks it's foolish or whatever, but he does it anyways because it's a sense of duty. It's a sense of something to do, I guess. Maybe he's just has that samurai code to him. Like, well, you're given a mission, you're going to say no or you're going to do it. And it feels maybe there's one or two maybe cliches in it, but that being said, when he goes against what he could have been, what he was originally in the process of being programmed to being, basically his another clone of his, who's basically a mindless killer, and younger and stronger and everything, he stares in the face of what he could have been, what he could have become. And he doesn't like it at all. And like I said, it's still basically staring into the void, whether wondering what to do. At one point, he's basically, I'll just go into the light or whatever happens. But something, as the movie progresses, as the story goes on, he does rage against dying of the light. Now, he's not going to go gracefully into that good night. He's not going to, let whatever happen. He's going to go out. It's definitely going to be on his terms, and if that means he has to go out and do it, be the best he is at what he's at, then so be it. And people will say because it's a more mature movie, it's an R-rated, it serves him better because he's a very violent person. But I don't mind. I have zero problem with it being a violent movie and him, obviously he being the killer he's supposed to be. But it's more. It opens up the possibility to tell a bigger story than it just be like a comic book movie about Wolverine has to do this, otherwise say Magneto's going to do this again or whatever, or like the big budget X-Men movies. I like how low key and grounded this is. It's a personal story, and it's about a man who's obviously has to make the choices, and Hugh Jackman is phenomenal in this. I would love to see this movie get some kind of award net recognition besides the Saturn Awards it'll get that it's already gotten, but still, it's just I'd like to see it get some film recognition, maybe in some top 10 movies lists, maybe a few Oscar nominations for story, maybe a Best Picture. But I know that's not. It'd be nice, but still, I know people don't like it because it's don't like this year, especially with comic book movies, because they're more grounded, and there's not like they're not one upping themselves like they used to, but it's more they're focusing on story, more focusing on character, than they are saying, "Oh, Wolverine's going to take out 100-foot robot or whatever." No, it's just sometimes you need a story to just be grounded and pull you in and just make you care about the characters, and this is probably the one that made me weep. I don't really cry at comic book movies, obviously, but this one made me cry at the end. So, yep. Logan's my favorite movie of the year. So, that's it for this year, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for some more film videos, some more whatever videos, and we'll see you next time.